This is FYI, a public affairs program of Strong Tower Christian Media on 93.7 The Light and Hope 100.7.
And welcome to 93.7 The Light, Hope 100.7. I'm JT Burcham. We're honored to host FYI, where we talk with interesting people about fascinating projects, and today is no exception. I'm honored to be talking with Carolina Schneider, who is the founder of Hungry for Plants, a registered dietitian. Carolina, how you doing today?
Hi, JT. I'm well. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. I understand you're trying to help us be healthy and educate us all at the same time. So they got my attention by you are talking about a farm bill. You're talking about a farm bill, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're talking about Farm Bill and, nutrition programs that are covered under the Farm Bill and how can we make them better for Americans and families.
Yeah. So you're a nutritionist. You're going to talk to me about vegetables and how to keep me healthy and all that kind of thing. So let's wade right in. SNAP. What is SNAP? Who benefits from SNAP, and how is it affected by nutrition?
Yes, JT. So SNAP stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, and it's formally known as food stamps. So a lot of people may recognize that name. SNAP falls under the Farm Bill, and that's why we're talking about the Farm Bill today. It's about to be updated. It's updated every 5 years. It's coming up here in September. And the Farm Bill includes provisions for nutrition assistance programs such as SNAP. So it can really either promote or hinder the development of our local regional foods and regional food systems. It can also affect, how much access people have to food. So in SNAP, what that does, it's give people, of low income or without access to foods, it gives them access to healthy, nutritious foods. It also gives them access to not so healthy foods. We can talk more about it in a second, but any changes in the funding, the eligibility criteria, or the structure of the program, through the Farm Bill, will have a direct implication on food security and the well-being of the people who are dependent on these programs such as SNAP. And JT, to answer your other question, how many people, benefit from SNAP? We have about 40 million Americans that depend on SNAP to put food on their table each month. Out of those, we have about 70% of the SNAP beneficiaries that are families with children. So this is why this is so important and how it relates to me as a dietitian, because, my mission is to help people be healthier, but also have access to food. And it's programs like this that will determine the well-being of these populations. Yeah.
Now, I'm in Ohio, listeners here in Ohio. How does SNAP work? How many folks in Ohio do you have that any of those kind of numbers, folks affected by SNAP?
I wouldn't know specifically in Ohio, and I apologize.
That's okay.
But I've lived mostly in Florida and California and New York, and I've worked with people who benefit solely and depend on SNAP to feed their families. So it's dear to my heart because I've worked with, the populations who depend on it, and every single state, we have thousands of people who depend on SNAP, and again, 40 million Americans. So I would suspect that, a large part of Ohio also, and all over the U.S. are dependent on that. But I think it's really relevant. And even though it may not affect some of us directly, I think it's our duty as citizens to help others and to do our part to make sure everyone has access to nutritious food.
Now, you mentioned SNAP can be nutritious and not nutritious.
Absolutely. So there's definitely some gaps and some things that I believe can be improved in SNAP. One thing is, like I said, it does give access to all foods, healthy or not. So I think SNAP currently lacks some more structure and guidelines to help people make better decisions when it comes to food. So here you have access to, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, but you also have access to packaged foods and snacks and, candy. So how do we make the best choices? So I think it's lacking some more education around that. And then another thing that is really extremely important that is lacking, in my opinion, as a dietitian, is access to vitamin supplementation. There are no vitamins included in SNAP. It's only food. And unfortunately, as a dietitian, I know that we not always get all of our vitamins and minerals through foods alone. So one thing that would be really easy for Congress to add into SNAP as a vitamin supplementation is vitamin D, because unfortunately, most of us are deficient in vitamin D in the US. And it is a vitamin that plays such an important role in preventing disease. We learned in the last couple of years that it's crucial for, helping reduce the risk of respiratory illness, heart disease, which is the #1 killer in the US. It can also reduce preterm birth by 60%, which is a big issue that we have here, with pregnant women. So vitamin D is an easy thing they could add. It wouldn't cost the program anything else. And it's something that people are lacking. And unfortunately, we cannot get enough through food alone.
Now, I've got to ask, do we get vitamin D through the sun? Is that true? Is that enough? How does that work?
Yes, great question. So yes, we actually produce vitamin D when we're in contact with sunlight and the rays from the sunshine. However, we are also told at the same time to stay indoors, to wear sunscreen, because too much sun exposure can be an issue, to our skin health.
Good
So
point.
we are not getting enough. And some people, depending on where they live, they may, but, thinking about the whole world, there is a grand majority of the world that does not have enough access to sunlight, in winter months. You're from Ohio, it gets really cold and you're not always exposed to sunlight and you're indoors a lot, working or at home. So that's an issue too. We also have certain populations that have a more difficulty producing this vitamin. There's medications that can affect this. There's conditions, health conditions that can affect this. So many factors, but also a big one is dietary restriction. So we were just talking before, you and I, off air, about me eating a plant-based diet. I am at high risk for vitamin D deficiency because the best sources of vitamin D in foods are from animals. So if you get someone who is not eating these foods, shellfish, fish or meat or eggs or dairy, they're likely going to be deficient in vitamin D. So yes, we can get it from sunlight. Yes, we can get it from food, but unfortunately it's not adequate enough for the levels that we like to see that can prevent disease. So we need like reinforcement truly. So that's why, in these populations on SNAP, they're getting access to some foods, but again, they may not be making the best choices because they don't know how to make the best choices. We need some education there. And then again, not enough to meet their needs. So it would be great to have a vitamin added so we can help them get there.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned the Farm Bill. So how can members of Congress make SNAP more nutritious or more healthy? It sounds like that's maybe the issue or at hand. Yes.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that, again, I think it would be easy and inexpensive would be to give access or include vitamin supplementation in the bill so that in the program, so that people with the SNAP benefits can choose to purchase or use their SNAP benefits towards vitamin supplementation. Personally, vitamin D, like we just talked about, I think would be the most impactful, the one that would make the biggest difference, because it is the vitamin that most people are already deficient in. And it's really an easy fix. You just have to take the supplement. So, how do we go about that? And, people may be listening and saying, well, how does this relate to me? How could I help? I personally did not know either I was told to reach to my local Congress, and I said, I have no idea how to do that.
Right.
It's actually so easy. So there's this great nonprofit organization. They're called Organic and Natural Health Association, and they do a lot of work with initiatives like this to make things, nutritious foods and vitamins, more accessible to people. And they actually pre-wrote a letter to Congress, and all you have to do is go to allforvitamind.org. You press on the Take Action tab. The letter is written for you. It's customizable if you want to change anything. You just put your address. So if you're in Ohio, you put your zip code in Ohio, and it will populate the right Congress representative for your area, and you will send them that email, which again, you don't have to write anything. If you want to change anything on the letter, you're welcome to. But that's so easy, and everyone can do that, in 2 to 3 minutes. And again, even if it doesn't affect you directly, just think about the millions of families who are dependent on these programs, and we're just trying to make them get more access to, nutrition, proper nutrition.
Do that website again. Well, one more time. Yeah. Go through that one more time. A little slower. Do that again.
It's allforvitamind.org.
Okay.
And all four, you can spell out 4, or you can put the number 4. All of the above will work.
Okay. Excellent. Let me see. While we're waiting on Congress to make changes, what can SNAP recipients do to make healthier choices now?
Mm-hmm. Great question. So,
Thank you for helping me with that question.
This goes to everyone too, JT. Even if you're not SNAP beneficiary, make sure to listen to these tips, because this can benefit everyone. So a few things that you can do just to improve your health overall: prioritize nutritious, wholesome food. So when I say wholesome, I mean minimally processed food. So think about when you go to the grocery store and you go to the produce aisle with the fruits, the veggies, all these colorful fruits and foods. You look at them and they're just one piece, right? You have a bell pepper, a banana, a broccoli. That's what we mean by wholesome foods. They are minimally processed. They are in their whole form. They don't have an ingredient list. That's exactly what you're showing now. This is what we should be prioritizing. Most of the time, whole grains like rice, we got beans, lean proteins. That's the best thing you can do for your health, all of us. So that's number one. Another thing that's really helpful for also SNAP beneficiaries is to shop at independent grocery stores and natural product stores. And the reason I say this is because these types of stores are so much more conscious when it comes to nutrition. Usually the people who work there are more aware and educated in nutrition, so that they can help people make better choices. We talked about how we're lacking, good choices or education. So shopping at those places, you can also shop for local produce, so you can support local farmers and your local economy. So that's a great place to shop. Another thing that you can do is buy frozen fruits and vegetables. So if for some reason you don't have access to fresh, or in your budget or just where you live, frozen fruits and vegetables are so helpful. They are inexpensive and they last, a lot longer. You can also take advantage of discount codes or coupon codes from vitamin manufacturers. So if you're like, I know that I am vitamin D deficient, or I got my blood work and I need to supplement with vitamin D, take advantage of discounts. It's really easy to find online or at stores, and get your hands on some vitamin D supplementation. Again, please consult with your doctor first, but that's one way that you can start improving those levels. And just plan your meals well. Make sure that you are eating at home as much as you can, so you have full control of your meals. You're also saving money by not eating out, but you can prioritize those healthy, nutritious foods when you're home.
Yeah. Excellent. Hey, thank you for keeping us healthy today. Now, Carolina Schneider, how do we stay in touch with you and learn more about today's topics?
Yes, so you can follow me on Instagram if you want to see some veggie-based recipes. I am Carolina the Green RD, RD as in registered dietitian. So Carolina the Green RD on Instagram, and to learn more about how you can help get vitamin D into SNAP for millions of Americans, just go to all4vitamind.org.
All4vitamind.org.
You got it. And take action tab.
Action tab. Carolina, thank you so much. I appreciate your time with us here in the state of Ohio. Thanks for sharing your expertise with us.
Thank you so much for having me, JT.
Loads of fun.
This is FYI, a public affairs program of Strong Tower Christian Media on 93.7 The Light and Hope 100.7.